about you is you have an amazing sense of self-awareness. You seem completely comfortable with yourself.
Yeah,
At peace, man. Whoa! I just
yeah,
knocked the
yeah.
TH Marine cup over. But the
Right.
see how I did a
Get
sponsor
excited.
plug
He,
right
he,
there?
he planned that.
See how I did that? The but no, seriously, man. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a very admirable quality. It conveys from you, man. Is that
That,
is that how things are?
yeah, that's it's I appreciate you noticing that. It's I can't say it's always been like that. I would say it's something that probably fell. I think I started working on maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Um, and I think it's really a really important reason why I'm where I'm at now is because I kind of understand my story and where I'm at and my route. I think a lot of guys, and of course I'm speaking in the context of fishing, but it really goes in life in general. Like we're all kind of looking at what everybody else is doing and trying to figure out how that's going to work for us. And I just kind of realized like my story is not everybody else's story. I got kind of
Right.
like my own thing going on. And once I kind of started to appreciate that, I think not necessarily everything kind of went into gear, but I was happy ever since I started to kind of accept my story and how the route that I have and where I'm at.
And that's the man. That is very so much how I live my life. Okay, because
Awesome.
happiness is essential to me. I figured this out with the help of some people that um you can't always be regretting or beating yourself up for things you've done in the past.
Oh
You
yeah,
have
yeah,
to accept what is there. Now, don't be a doormat. You don't have to let people walk over you or situations walk over you, but once you become accepting of those situations, it helps you understand them and more or less deal with them, you know?
right, right. No, no doubt, no doubt. Obviously, once again, like we're talking about fishing and one of the overwhelming themes that you hear from people that maybe haven't working towards fishing for a living and maybe haven't quite made it yet. Well, I just don't have the money. I just don't have, I don't have the time. Or I hear, oh well, I got a job. Like people somewhere, there's a group of people that don't have jobs that are turning pro. It's like
Where are those people?
everybody's got a job. Everybody's got a
Yeah.
family. Like everybody's got all the same problems, and there's always somebody that's punching through that. It's like the most irritating thing for me. People always come up to me saying, "Yeah, man, I would do that too." You're lucky. I hate that. Like I just want to punch somebody every time they tell me that I'm lucky because I get to fish and so forth. But I'm saying all that to say this is like I was once part of that crowd too, and then it really kind of took my dad. He kind of spoke to me without speaking to me. He was talking about somebody else. And he kind of made a statement that really just kind of woke me up. And it was like, dude, I really actually don't have any excuse not to get what I want. It's like, dude, you're already born in America. This is the only place in the world that you can be a professional fisherman. Like, there's
Yeah.
nowhere else in the world. Like, if you live in America and you want to be a professional fisherman and you're not, and then you let people from other countries beat you to it, you should feel like pretty bad about yourself. Like, I mean, like you're already born here. You're
Exactly.
literally already born here, and there's people moving here from other countries
Aren't you glad
and
those
making it
Johnston
happen.
brothers went to the other tour?
Yeah, yeah,
You
right,
know,
right.
you know what? You said
Exactly.
you wanted to punch people in the face. I feel like you did just punch me in the face because I'm guilty of almost everything you just said there. I'm
Yeah,
learning a
I
lot.
hate that, dude.
I'm
I
learning a
don't
lot
ever
right
say that
now, and
around
I'm
me.
gonna drop that stuff right now.
Yeah,
Totally.
don't do that. Don't
Yeah.
that it. Oh, it irritates me to no end. I think a lot of us are impatient. I'm 36 years old now, and there's a lot of guys that started the same time I did that have been fishing professionally more than 10 years now.
Hmm.
And I didn't even get an at bat until 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Like,
you
so
just got the
imagine that.
op.
Imagine sitting in the dugout for 16 years.
Put me in, coach.
Yeah. Here's your
Yeah.
Gatorade. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get in for, like the 16-year journey. And it was 12 years before I even got an at bat. So, in the grand scheme of that, I'm really still young. I mean, you got guys like
Absolutely.
Rick Clunn, 72, and he won.
It's crazy,
He
dude.
won a
It's
freaking event
crazy.
at
Yeah.
72.
And he could beat us both in arm wrestling. I'm
Yes,
sure.
yes. So, saying all that to say, like, if you're 30, 40, even 50 years old, 20 years is a long time to pursue something. So you got time to make it happen. Just patience, I think, is way underrated
And
in our
humble
game.
beginnings, man. You have humble beginnings. There's no
Oh
doubt.
yeah.
You didn't start with 24-inch rims on your bass boat trailer.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I can't get over that. There's people they're like, I don't have money to pay the entry fee, man, but they pull up with their,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, dude?
Yeah.
How does this
Yeah.
happen? How
Get
does
the
this
bass
happen?
tracker and get out there.
Yeah, I see, or I see, like, oh, they went out on Friday night, or they're at the beach. Like, my wife is in the room with me right now, and so, like, we didn't go on vacations very often. Like, when I was in my 20s, there was no going to the beach. As a matter of fact, I think my first vacation as an adult was our honeymoon when I
Wow.
got married. Like, I didn't have money for that. I spent my money on fishing tournaments, and I did kind of start off. I spent a pretty decent amount in a bass boat, because if you're going to try to fish, a good bass boat is probably a pretty good and important tool to have. So,
Sure.
I always ran a pretty decent bass boat, but the sacrifice was I didn't get to go on vacations. I didn't have the biggest house when we first got married. So it's just really a matter of fact, do you want it or do you not? Like, you can sit here and say, well, you don't have this or you got this disadvantage or that, but the world doesn't care, and the industry does not care that you said, you don't make enough money or whatever. They're going to keep moving along
Exactly.
with or without you. So yeah, you just kind of got to decide where you want it. For me, it's like I was suffocating working in the normal world. Not that there's anything wrong with whatever you call normal jobs, I guess. I don't know what the right term is for that, but
The
I was
9 to 5.
suffocating.
Yeah.
Hated it. Hated it. There was no end game there for me at all. So that gave me some good consolation. I never regretted any dime that I spent on fishing ever.
It's your investment, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's your life investment, plain and
Yeah.
simple. Plain and
No
simple.
doubt. No doubt. Because I say that because the other thing you always hear is, people will talk about how much the entry fees are and how much a boat is. And I get on that every once in a while, how much this or that is. It's like, okay. Like, and,
It's the sport you
it's,
chose, buddy.
Yeah.
right.
Dude,
Right.
I mean, dude, you've had it. I mean, you've had it bad. You might look at it differently than a lot of people because you've had the bassin buzz bad since you were a little kid. I mean,
Yeah.
like you fished your first derb at
Second
like
grade.
second grade. That's
Yeah.
crazy, Brian.
Yeah, second grade.
That's
Well,
not
my
right.
dad was a tournament fisherman, so I kind of grew up around the tournament scene as a kid, which it's definitely obviously good, but I grew up fishing all the way from second grade all the way through school, fishing tournaments and stuff like that. Now, I didn't get to fish out of my own boat until I graduated, which now seems old, but back then that was really, really young. I was like 19 when I got my first bass boat. But like kids now, 14 years old, they don't even have a driver's license. They're getting a bass boat now. But I was 19 when I got my first bass boat, and when I kind of really started to learn the craft on my own was right after high school.